Sold for her bold curves, the lone cowboy lifted her clothes and whispered, "Perfect for my arms." She grew up in a small town where people believed they knew everything about everyone. In that place, rumors traveled faster than truth and labels stuck harder than facts. Her childhood was not cruel, but it was heavy. Money was always short, and worry lived quietly in every corner of their small house. Her parents worked hard, yet it was never enough. She helped where she could, taking small jobs, skipping her own needs so the family could breathe a little easier. She did not complain. She believed patience was strength and silence was survival. As she grew older, she noticed how differently people treated her compared to others. Some were too kind in ways that felt false. Others were harsh, as if her presence offended them. She tried to dress simply, to move carefully, to take up less space. Still, she stood out without trying. She felt like a story written by others, a story she was forced to live without ever holding the pen. At night, when the house was quiet, she dreamed of something else. Not luxury or fame, but freedom. A place where she could wake up without fear of being judged. A life where she could be seen as a whole person, not just an image. Those dreams stayed hidden, tucked away like a secret letter she never mailed. Trouble came slowly, then all at once. Her father fell ill, and the little balance they had disappeared. Bills piled up. Worry became louder. Relatives offered advice but not help. Neighbors watched but did nothing. In moments like those, kindness became rare and desperation grew sharp edges. Then came the offer. It was presented as a solution, wrapped in careful words and false concern. They said it would fix everything. They said it was temporary. They said she would be safe. No one asked if she agreed. No one asked how it made her feel. The decision was made around her, not with her. She listened quietly as plans were discussed, as her future was spoken of like an object that could be moved from one place to another. Her heart felt heavy, but her face stayed calm. She did not want to add more pain to an already breaking family. She told herself that sacrifice was love, and love sometimes meant letting go of yourself. The day she left, she packed only what she needed. Simple clothes, a small bag, a few memories she could not leave behind. Her mother hugged her longer than usual, saying nothing, as if words would break them both. Her father avoided her eyes, ashamed of a choice he felt forced to accept. The road stretched long and quiet. Each mile felt like a step away from the girl she used to be. Fear sat beside her, steady and silent. She did not know where she was going exactly, only that she was crossing into a life she did not choose. When she arrived, the place felt unfamiliar but not unkind. Wide land, open skies, and a stillness that made her uneasy. She felt small standing there, unsure of her place. People watched her arrive, curious but distant. No smiles, no warmth, just quiet observation. She told herself to be strong. She had survived judgment before. She could survive this too. Still, something inside her trembled. This was different. This time she was alone. That evening, as she stood near the edge of the land, she wondered if she would disappear here, if her voice would fade completely. She felt like a shadow of herself, shaped by choices she never made. Yet deep inside, beneath fear and exhaustion, a small spark remained. A quiet hope that maybe this place, strange as it was, might hold something unexpected. Not rescue, not miracles, but understanding. She did not know why she felt it, only that she held onto it like a lifeline. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky with soft colors, she took a deep breath. Whatever lay ahead, she promised herself one thing. She would not forget who she was, even if the world tried to decide it for her. And with that promise, her new life began. He had lived alone for many years, long enough that silence felt normal to him. The land around his home was wide and open, with fences that stretched far and skies that never seemed to end. People in nearby towns knew him as the lone cowboy, a man who worked hard, spoke little, and kept his distance. Some said he was cold. Others said he was proud. Very few knew the truth. He was careful with his heart because he had already lost too much. His days followed a steady rhythm. He woke before sunrise, fed the animals, checked the land, and fixed whatever needed fixing. He liked work because it kept his mind busy. When his hands were tired, his thoughts stayed quiet. At night, he sat outside and watched the stars, thinking about nothing and everything at the same time. He did not invite company. He believed peace was easier to protect when you were alone. When he was told she would be coming, he did not react right away. He listened, nodded once, and asked only a few questions. He was not comfortable with decisions made by others, especially when they involved a person. But the situation had already been set in motion before he had a chance to stop it. All he could control now was how he acted. He did not expect much when she arrived. He had seen many people in his life, all carrying their own burdens. Still, the moment he saw her step onto the land, something shifted inside him. Not because of how she looked, but because of how she stood. Her shoulders were straight, but her eyes held caution. She looked like someone who had learned to stay strong even when scared. He noticed the way she stayed quiet, how she watched everything carefully, as if measuring the ground before each step. She did not complain. She did not demand. She simply existed, unsure of her place. That touched something deep in him. He knew that feeling well. He showed her where she would stay, speaking calmly and clearly. He made sure his tone carried no command, no pressure. He told her she was safe there, that she would have space, and that no one would force her into anything. His words were simple, but he meant every one of them. She listened without interrupting, her hands folded tightly in front of her. She did not fully believe him yet, and he understood why. Trust was not something given easily, especially to someone new. He did not expect it. He knew trust had to be earned. Over the next few days, he kept his distance while making sure she had what she needed. Food was always ready. The house was warm. Work was offered, not ordered. When he spoke, it was only when necessary. He did not want to overwhelm her with questions or attention. Still, he watched in quiet ways. He noticed how she helped without being asked, how she thanked him for small things, how she paused before speaking, choosing her words carefully. She carried herself with dignity, even when uncertainty surrounded her. One afternoon, while working outside, he saw her struggling with a task she was unfamiliar with. He approached slowly, explaining what to do in clear steps. He did not touch her, did not crowd her space. He stood nearby, letting her try. When she succeeded, a small smile appeared on her face, surprised and real. That smile stayed with him long after the moment passed. In the evenings, they sometimes sat in the same space without talking. The quiet was not uncomfortable. It was gentle, like the pause between breaths. He could feel her relaxing little by little, though her guard was still up. He respected that. Healing did not happen in a hurry. He began to see her not as someone brought into his life by circumstance, but as a person with her own story. He wondered what she had been through, what dreams she carried, and what fears followed her. But he did not ask. He believed some stories needed time before they could be shared. People from nearby areas watched them from a distance. Some judged, some whispered. He ignored them all. He had lived his life without caring for opinions, and he was not about to start now. What mattered to him was fairness, respect, and doing what was right. One evening, as the sun dipped low, she stood outside watching the sky. The colors reflected in her eyes, softening her expression. He joined her at a distance, speaking gently about the land, the seasons, and how change always came, even when it felt slow. She listened, nodding quietly. For the first time, she spoke about herself, just a little. She said she was not used to places like this. She admitted she was scared of making mistakes. He listened without interrupting, without offering advice. When she finished, he simply told her that mistakes were part of learning, and that no one here expected her to be perfect. Those words meant more to her than he realized. They were not dramatic or loud, but they were honest. She felt something loosen inside her chest, something she had been holding tight for too long. That night, she slept more peacefully than she had in a long time. As days turned into weeks, a quiet understanding formed between them. He did not see her as someone to control. She did not see him as someone to fear. They met each other in the middle with patience and care. He began to realize that his lonely life was changing, not in loud or sudden ways, but in small moments that mattered. The house felt less empty. The land felt warmer. He found himself looking forward to shared meals and simple conversations. She too began to notice changes within herself. She stood taller. Her voice grew steadier. She felt seen, not judged. For the first time, she felt like her presence was not a burden. Neither of them spoke about the future. They stayed in the present where things felt safe and manageable. Whatever this connection was, it was built on respect, not expectation. And though neither said it aloud, both understood that something important had begun. Not ownership, not obligation, but the slow, careful start of trust. The days continued to pass in a steady, gentle rhythm. Morning light came through the windows, and the land slowly woke up. She began to learn the patterns of the place, the quiet sounds, the calm pace, and the way time seemed to move differently there. Life was not rushed. Nothing was forced. That alone made her breathe easier. She started helping more, not because she was told to, but because she wanted to feel useful. Simple tasks gave her a sense of purpose. She learned how to care for small things around the home, how to notice what needed attention. Each completed task gave her a little confidence. It felt good to know she could contribute without being judged. The cowboy noticed the change, though he never pointed it out. He respected her effort and quietly adjusted his routine to include her when she wished. When she struggled, he guided her with patience. When she succeeded, he gave a small nod or a calm smile. Those small gestures meant more to her than loud praise ever could. Slowly, conversations began to grow. At first, they were simple about the weather, the land, or the work of the day. Then, over time, they became deeper. She shared small pieces of her past, never all at once. He listened carefully, never rushing her, never reacting with shock or judgment. He understood that some stories needed time to breathe. He, too, began to open up in quiet ways. He spoke of his past without details, only feelings. He shared how he had once believed that staying alone was the safest way to live. Loss had taught him to protect his heart by building walls. She listened with respect, understanding more than she said aloud. Trust grew in small moments, a shared laugh over a simple mistake, a calm conversation after a long day, sitting together in silence, watching the sky change colors. These moments built a connection stronger than promises. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. She was faced with a situation that reminded her of her past fears. Her hands trembled and old doubt returned. She stepped back, unsure of herself. The cowboy noticed right away. He did not step in front of her or take control. Instead, he stood beside her, calm and steady, reminding her that she had a choice. That moment changed something inside her. She realized she was not trapped. She was not powerless. She could step forward or step back, and either choice would be respected. The fear slowly faded, replaced by strength she did not know she still had. As weeks passed, she began to see herself differently. She stopped shrinking herself to fit into others' expectations. She spoke more clearly. She laughed more freely. The mirror no longer felt like an enemy. She began to understand that her worth was not decided by others, but by how she treated herself. The cowboy noticed her confidence growing. He admired her resilience, her kindness, and her quiet courage. He never tried to define her or change her. To him, she was not a role or a responsibility. She was simply herself, and that was enough. People around them continued to whisper, but their voices felt distant now. What mattered was the respect inside the home and the peace within the land. She no longer felt like an outsider. She felt present, grounded, and real. One evening, after a long day, they sat outside together. The air was cool and the sky was clear. She spoke about her dreams for the first time, not big or impossible dreams, but simple ones. Stability, dignity, a future shaped by her own choices. He listened closely, his expression thoughtful. He told her something important that night. He said she owed him nothing, not time, not loyalty, not gratitude. He said she was free to leave whenever she wished, and that her life belonged to her alone. His words were calm, but they carried weight. She felt tears rise, not from sadness, but from relief. For the first time, someone had given her freedom without asking for anything in return. That trust meant everything. From that moment on, their bond changed. It became deeper, stronger, and more equal. She was no longer just healing, she was becoming whole again. He was no longer guarding his heart, he was allowing it to feel. They continued living one day at a time, building something real through honesty and care. The past still existed, but it no longer controlled them. Together, they were creating a present built on respect and a future full of quiet possibility. And though neither spoke the words yet, both knew that what they were building was rare. Not possession, not fear, but connection rooted in choice and trust. The change did not happen in one single moment. It came quietly, like the slow shift of seasons. One morning, she woke up and realized she no longer felt afraid of the day ahead. The fear that once sat heavy in her chest had softened. It was still there sometimes, but it no longer controlled her. She moved through the house with ease now. It no longer felt like a place she was placed into. It felt lived in, shared, and safe. Every corner held familiarity. Every sound made sense. She felt rooted, not trapped. The cowboy noticed these changes too. He saw how she walked with more confidence, how her voice carried strength instead of hesitation. He admired her growth quietly, never claiming credit for it. He knew the strength had always been inside her. All she needed was space for it to rise. One afternoon, news came from her past. A message reached her, reminding her of the life she had left behind. Old worries returned for a moment. Old expectations tried to pull her back into guilt. She sat alone, thinking deeply, wondering what she owed to others and what she owed to herself. When the cowboy found her later, he could see the conflict in her eyes. He did not demand answers. He simply sat nearby, giving her the comfort of presence without pressure. After a long silence, she spoke. She shared her fear of choosing wrong, of hurting people, of being judged again. He listened carefully. Then he told her something that stayed with her forever. He said that choosing yourself does not make you unkind. He said that life becomes heavier when you live only for others and forget your own worth. He reminded her that whatever choice she made, it should come from truth, not fear. That night she thought deeply about her journey. She remembered the girl who once felt invisible, who believed her future belonged to others. She saw how far she had come. She realized she was no longer that girl. She had grown into someone who understood her value. The next morning she made a decision, not a rushed one, not an emotional one, a calm, clear decision. She chose to stay, not because she had to, not because she was expected to, but because she wanted to. For the first time, the choice was hers alone. When she told him, she spoke with steady confidence. She made it clear that she was staying by choice, not obligation. He did not celebrate loudly. He did not act like he had won anything. He simply nodded, his eyes showing respect and quiet happiness. From that day on, their relationship stood on equal ground. There was no imbalance, no unspoken debt. They worked together, shared responsibilities, and supported each other without control. Their bond was built on trust, not dependence. She continued growing, discovering parts of herself she had never explored before. She learned new skills. She found joy in simple routines. She laughed freely without fear of being judged. She felt comfortable in her own presence. The cowboy, too, changed. He spoke more. He smiled more. He allowed himself to care openly. The walls he had built around his heart slowly came down, replaced by something stronger than protection, connection. People around them began to notice the difference. The whispers faded, replaced by quiet respect. They saw two people living honestly without needing approval. The land itself seemed to reflect that peace. One evening, as they stood together watching the sky, she realized something important. She was no longer defined by her past, her body, or other people's opinions. She was defined by her choices, her strength, and her kindness. She thanked him not for saving her but for respecting her. He replied simply, saying she had saved herself. That truth stayed between them, powerful and real. Their future was not loud or dramatic. It was steady. It was built day by day through shared effort and mutual care. They did not promise forever. They promised honesty. And that was enough. In the end, her story was not about being taken or claimed. It was about being seen. It was about reclaiming her voice, her freedom, and her worth. She stood strong, chosen by herself first, and that made all the difference.